What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm here with a new release review where I give you my thoughts and opinions about the most recent brand new releases. Are they worth your time? But most importantly, are they worth your money? The first film that I'm going to talk about, you absolutely have to pick up because the 4K transfer was absolutely gorgeous. And I am talking about the brand new 4K for Corpse Bride. Now, I have only watched Corpse Bride one time previously. It was a regular Blu-ray. I enjoy the film. This is all from the creative mind of Tim Burton, and you can tell that it is Tim Burton style, the animation in the movie. You know Tim Burton was involved with this project. So I enjoy Corpse Bride. It's a very short, quick watch, 77 minutes long. But let me tell you something. This film was made for a 4K transfer because this 4K blew my mind. It looks absolutely fantastic. The reason why I say this film was made for a 4K transfer is because there's two main aspects about a 4K, in my opinion, that really enhance movies. In darker scenes, black and white movies, and also where color is a main factor. And you have both of those in Corpse Bride. In the regular alive world, that's what I'm going to call it, where everyone is alive. In Corpse Bride, it looks very dark in tone, very dreary. And so those scenes just absolutely looked amazing on 4K. But where this movie shines the most is when you're with the dead in this film, because when you're with the dead in Corpse Bride, everything is bright and colorful. It's the exact opposite of real life, obviously. But in Corpse Bride, when you're with the dead, everything is bright and colorful. And with the 4K transfer, my gosh, it was mind-blowing. Even my mother at some point said, "Wow, Susan, this 4K looks really, really nice." And I'm like, yeah, and it was just so exciting. So if there is one 4K where I recommend you have to buy it, you have to, no doubt in your mind, it is Corpse Bride, because this film was perfection from top to bottom. It looked amazing from beginning to end. So do not hesitate. Absolutely do not hesitate. Pick up Corpse Bride, whether you pick up the regular 4K with this amazing, awesome slipcover. There we go, just to show that off a little bit. There's also the 4K Steelbook. I do have it right here. I had it in my new release pile. This Steelbook is gorgeous. It is one of my favorites of the year. I mean, look at that. It is just so beautiful. So either one that you choose to pick up, it is going to be a winner because it looks great on the outside. It looks great on the inside with that 4K transfer. So that is a winner. Warner Brothers is doing an incredible job with 4K transfers this year because Corpse Bride and also with The Conjuring 4K, extremely well done. All right, speaking of Warner Brothers, let's move on to the next brand new release. Of course, I'm talking about Superman. There we go. Let's show off that lenticular slip just for a second. It's always fun to do that. So watching Superman was a rewatch for me because, of course, I went to the movie theater to support this film. I was very curious to see where are we going with DC now. With James Gunn at the helm, he wrote and directed Superman. He is in charge of DC over at Warner Brothers. So this is his vision. And where are we going with this? What is going to happen? And I was open-minded. And after I watched Superman in the theater, I gave it, I believe, a 3.5 star. I was fine with the film. I did not absolutely hate it. But for me, when it comes to Superman, I am still preferring Henry Cavill as the character, but also Man of Steel. I think when it comes to directing style, I just prefer Zack Snyder's directing style over James Gunn. There's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely fine. Not that I don't enjoy James Gunn. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Okay, I absolutely love and adore them. But there is a very big difference between their style of directing, and you can tell because when you compare Man of Steel to this version of Superman, it's like night and day. So for me personally, I just prefer Henry Cavill and Man of Steel, but I enjoyed the movie. Now, upon rewatching it with the 4K transfer, first of all, the 4K looks incredible, looks amazing. The film was made for a 4K transfer, so there is no shock and surprise that this 4K looks great. But upon rewatching the film, did my thoughts change about the movie overall? Maybe a little bit, but not by very much. I'm still preferring Man of Steel over this movie, but it doesn't mean that Superman is a bad film. It is enjoyable. I love Crypto. I love Rachel Brosnahan. I almost forgot her name. Rachel Brosnahan, who plays Lois Lane. I love her. I think she is a great Lois Lane. I thought that was great casting. And David Cornsweet, he's growing on me as Superman. So I'm sure with time and the more times I watch this version of Superman, I am sure my score, my overall thoughts and feelings about the movie will probably increase over time. But right now it's still sitting at that 3.5. Maybe it's up to a 3.75, but it didn't drastically change for me, but of course I enjoyed watching the film. It's an enjoyable film to watch. Absolutely. It's not like it's absolute garbage. It is not. If you're a major Superman fan, of course, you are going to want this for your collection just for that lenticular slipcover because it's awesome. There we go. Now let's talk about Megan 2.0. So this was also another rewatch for me. I went to go and see it at the theater. I was pumped. I was hyped up because the first Megan pretty much came out of nowhere. I mean, we knew the movie was coming. There was such great marketing for the first Megan film, and that's why the movie made around $100 million. It was so enormously successful. So when it came to Megan 2.0, after watching the trailer, I was like, it looks like it's going in a different direction, but I'm still going to be open-minded about it. And then I saw it in the theater and I was like, oh, it switched genres pretty much. It went from a horror film in the first movie to an action film for Megan 2.0. I mean, there's really nothing wrong with that. It's definitely a curveball because you weren't really expecting that. I thought there was going to be a little bit more blood and gore in the film, but obviously that does not really happen in Megan 2.0 because it is more of an action film. But I gotta say, upon rewatching it, it didn't bother me as much as it did after I saw it in the movie theater. I think also the same feelings that I have with Superman, the more I watch Megan 2.0 over time, the more I'm going to enjoy it. Because after rewatching it with this brand new, lovely 4K Steelbook from High Def Ninja, I do have to say that upon watching it a second time, I already have different thoughts, and I do enjoy the film more than I did at the theater. So that is a positive thing. I think because now that I know that the genres have switched and I'm not surprised by that element anymore, it doesn't really bother me as much. And so I'm fine with Megan 2.0. Although if they do continue and have, Megan 3.0, whatever they decide to do, I would prefer them to go back to the horror element of things because that's what we want to see. That's what we like to see. Even though this was fun and enjoyable, I want to go back to the horror roots of Megan. And I do have to be honest that my thoughts with how complicated the plot line was for Megan 2.0, I feel the same exact way. There was just so much happening. It felt like the plot was being, everything that was happening in the film was just being over explained so many times, and it doesn't need to be that complicated for a Megan movie. You know what I'm saying? So that was a big negative for me when I did watch the movie, but again, over time, it'll be fine. I didn't mean to rhyme that. Okay, so Megan 2.0. Over time, I'll just enjoy it more and more. So I recommend, but wait for a sale. I would say wait for a sale for this one, especially with the Steelbook. You know, there's no slipcover on here that you have to worry about. So wait for a drop in price, or you can actually stream this on Peacock right now if you're interested. If you haven't seen the movie yet and you're kind of unsure whether or not you want to spend the money for the physical media, stream it. And then if you feel like, yeah, it's not worth it, wait for a sale. Wait for a sale to pick up Megan 2.0. Now let's talk about Daybreakers, another incredible, amazing lenticular slipcover from Lionsgate Limited. Now, when I did the unboxing, I did not completely take off the plastic. I need to show off this actual steelbook to you because it's incredible, okay? The front of the steelbook is the lenticular slip, but the back, look at that. That is scary, in your face, frightening vampire. I love it. So there is the complete picture right there for the Daybreakers lenticular 4K steelbook. And this is a Lionsgate Limited exclusive if you are interested. Now, this was a rewatch for me because I had seen Daybreakers only one time previously, regular Blu-ray, I believe about a year ago. And my thoughts about the film were kind of mixed. I think what the problem was, I think I fell asleep, like kind of like in the middle of the movie. No reflection of the film at all whatsoever, because when I rewatched this 4K, I was awake. It was like 8 p.m. I was not falling asleep. I was awake for this because I did want to give Daybreakers another chance because it's a vampire film. I love my vampire movies. And what I really love about Daybreakers is that what they're talking about, what the issue is something that vampire films don't really touch on. And that's the fact that vampires in Daybreakers are pretty much taking over all of the population all over. Humans are scarce. And so the problem, the vampires are running out of blood. And if they're running out of blood, what's going to happen? They're going to die. And so they're trying to figure out how to create a blood substitute. That is where Ethan Hawke's character comes in. He is a doctor trying to figure out, he's also a vampire, like everyone's a vampire in this movie pretty much. And he's trying to figure out how to create this blood substitute when an opportunity comes along for him that he just cannot say no to. And I'm not going to say anything further because just in case you haven't seen Daybreakers, I want you to watch this movie because it's a great film. Nice and short, like 90 minutes long, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So watching the 4K was definitely needed for me because that first time watch of the film, I was a little bit like, did I like it? I don't know. I can't remember. To now, one of my favorites, probably, because the acting is so good. You have great actors in this film. You have Ethan Hawke. You have Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe is like Kathy Bates. I feel like Willem Dafoe is in everything. Kathy Bates is in everything. If you're like questioning who's in a movie, it's probably Willem Dafoe, like 90%. Willem Dafoe here and Sam Neill. Fantastic cast. Dark and gloomy. That's where 4K really enhances, like I mentioned before with Corpse Bride. And so this was a perfect 4K transfer. I thought it looked amazing. And this is a high recommendation from me to you to pick up Daybreakers. So treat yourselves, whatever you have to do to pick this one up. It truly is worth it. Great, fantastic film. Perfect for spooky season right now. The next 4 movies I am just going to talk about all together because it's the Airport franchise. These are all brand new 4Ks from Kino Lorber. So we have the first film, Airport. We have Airport 1975, Airport 77, and the Concorde, Airport 79. So let me try to hold all of these so you can see them. There we go. Does that work? Okay. I'll just hold it like this. So the airport franchise I was completely unfamiliar with, but if you've heard of the film Airplane, that is a spoof comedy based off of these airport films. And so I've seen Airplane numerous times. It's one of the best spoof comedies of all time. I love it. Leslie Nielsen, that we know from The Naked Gun, is in Airplane. And so it's just a hilarious movie. So I already had some kind of idea of what these movies were going to be about because I have seen Airplane. But if you're unfamiliar with Airport, this franchise right here is all about airport disasters, or not airport, not airport disasters, airplane disasters, pretty much airplane disaster movies in a franchise. There we go. That's what's happening. So in the first film, you have like an airplane that's stuck on the runway, and there's another airplane that has to land. It's like an emergency. So if they don't get that airplane out, they're going to crash into each other. In the second movie in 75, you have like I believe a smaller plane crashing into an airplane, midair. So there's a crash midair. That's what happens. That's the disaster in that movie. In Airport 77, the plane sinks completely into the ocean, and so all the passengers are submerged into the ocean. And then the Concorde, honestly, I can't remember what happens in the Concorde. The Concorde 1979, that was my least favorite of the franchise, I do have to admit. And I think that's why they stopped making these films after 79, because I don't think it was well received. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, because out of all four, the Concorde, the last one, just didn't really seem like it fit in all that well. It's still like an okay movie, but what's really cool about the franchise is that you have these big all-star casts from back in the day in the 70s. And so you have all of these well-known actors as either staff on the airplane, they're either pilots or stewardesses, or they're passengers. And not only are the films about the impending disaster of what's going to occur, but also like the personal lives of everyone that is a part of the cast. So you have like the storylines, the soap operas of what's happening, like who's sleeping with who, and oh, Linda Blair has to have a kidney transplant. She plays a character in the second movie. And, the airplane disaster is really bad for her because she's supposed to be getting a kidney transplant or something like that. She needs to have surgery. And so, we have that whole drama going on. It's like soapy, it's like soapy disaster films. They were great. I enjoyed watching every single one of these. Like I said, really except for the Concorde, the last one. I wasn't the biggest fan, but it was still all right. It was okay. Now, as far as the 4K transfers for every single one of these, I will say it was consistent. Every single one of these films looked, like it belonged in the franchise. There was no one movie that stuck out like a sore thumb, like, ooh, 75 doesn't really look that good. No, they all looked fine. Now, as far as, judging a 4K for a movie from the 70s, these films are not going to pop off the screen like Dune or Superman or, Furiosa, because all of those 4K transfers are like mind-blowing. That is not the case for this series, because these films are made from the 70s, and I'm sure the cameras that they used, obviously were not meant, because they didn't know what a 4K was yet, you know what I'm saying? So, but these 4Ks, I thought, look good. There was an improvement, because I did watch the Blu-rays as well, and I could definitely see improvements over the Blu-rays with these 4Ks. And so I recommend, if you are a fan of disaster films and the Airport franchise is a major blind spot for you, I recommend that you pick these up. So again, there is 79, there is 77, there's 75, and the original Airport. Now, these are all obviously individual, so if you don't really care for Concorde, you don't have to pick up that one. But I do believe Kino Lorber is also coming out with a 4-pack where all movies are included in one. Most likely, I'm guessing probably for a cheaper price. So if you do like all 4 of these movies, you may want to wait on picking up the individual ones, pick up the collection pack. I'm assuming, again, for a cheaper price. I can't really guarantee that. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm just guessing. So there's 2 options, either individual or the collection pack. I think the collection pack is arriving in October. Now let's talk about the final film from Kino Lorber, another 4K. And speaking of Airplane, because I talked about Airplane and how that is the spoof comedy of the Airport franchise, we have Airplane 2, the sequel. Now, I did mention this before. I had no idea that this sequel ever existed, and this was a major blind spot because I enjoy spoof comedy, so you would have thought I would have seen this by now. But I didn't know about it at all whatsoever. Like I said, I've seen the first Airplane movie numerous times. I find it to be so hilarious. But with Airplane 2, didn't even know about it. So when I saw that this was available from Kino Lorber as an option, I requested it and it came over and I finally got to watch it. Now, the 4K falls into the same category as the 4Ks for the Airport franchise. This came out in 1982, so again, it's an older movie. The 4K is not going to pop off the screen and blow your mind, but it looks nice. You know, like, it looks nice. It's okay. Now, as far as the movie goes, it's not as good as the original, I do have to say, which was a little bit disappointing. I thought that with, like, Airplane 2, this may sound weird, but I felt like when it came to the humor, they just went to like the most obvious, like raunchy kind of sense of humor. I don't know. I felt like with the original Airplane, maybe I'm overthinking this, but with the original film, I felt like the comedic moments and the laughter, it was a little bit more creative to kind of, you know, get you to laugh in those moments. And I mean, you're laughing all the time because Airplane is just so hilarious. I didn't find myself laughing all the time with Airplane 2. I still laughed. I still thought the film was funny, but it just felt like obvious, you know, jokes and humor, whereas the first film got, like I said, a little bit more creative, put a little bit more of a spin on it, and, you know, just instead of just like reaching for the laughs, you know what I'm saying? I still enjoyed it. It's still a good movie. So I'm going to recommend for Airplane 2, wait for a sale. Wait for that Kino Lorber sale. Now, speaking of the Kino Lorber sale, it's currently happening right now until October 20th, but Airplane 2 and the Airport franchise are not a part of this sale right now. It will most likely happen the following sale. So in the next Kino Lorber sale that does occur, I think, is it March? I think it might be March. But whenever it happens next and Airplane 2 is available, pick it up with the sale. Pick it up with the sale. It'll be like $16, $17, $99, and that will be worth it. Those are all the brand new releases that I have been watching lately. Comment down below and let me know your thoughts about all of these movies. Which ones did you enjoy? Which ones did you not? Don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you next time.